A while back, I got my first taste of the Hyundai Ioniq 5 XRT. Got to drive it on a little off-road course, and it was pretty fun. I was impressed. But I'd been itching to spend some time with it here at home by myself. Problem is, all my fun roads are either too far away or closed, which is a bummer. So I found a little sliver of dirt to go and do dumb shit. And yes, it's just as fun as I remember. So, 2025 Hyundai Ioniq 5 XRT. Living with it for a week has been fun. Now, this thing is interesting because for 2025, the Ioniq 5 switches to a native NACS charger. That's good because it opens up your charging options, but the car also comes with a handful of charging adapters so I can still charge it at home on my CCS-based charger. So it's kind of the best of both worlds, and it charges fine, and that's great. And it's really funny because up here on the left is some kind of fitness lifestyle influencer video happening. Get them, boys. They're probably making much more money than I do, which from this video will be zero. Back to the Hyundai. So on the outside, I do like 75% of how this thing looks. I think the red tow hooks are tough and they're functional. I think the wheel and tire package setup looks pretty good. Overall, not a bad look. I think the digital camo is kind of lame. I like that it's dark so that it's not as aggressive as maybe it was what Toyota does with theirs. I don't think it's necessary, but it's not terrible. I wish there was an option to not have it. So overall, the packaging of this thing looks good. They added the rear wiper, which is good because now this is covered in dust back there. That's a nice addition for 2025 as well. On the inside, there's plenty of space up front because you don't have a gearbox, obviously, electric vehicle. There's lots of space up here, good storage options, a nice prominent wireless charger for your phone. Decent enough sound system. It's Bose, so it's nothing to get that excited about. You got the two-into-one panel display that Hyundai likes using, and it works fine here. I have no complaints on the inside of this thing. Bright, easy to see. I have CarPlay up anyway, so that doesn't matter. Tons of room in the back because you always forget this thing is the size of a crossover, not a hot hatch, even though on the outside it is reminiscent of it's like a modern Lancia Integrale, just way bigger than one of those because those are much smaller than you think. Style-wise, inside and out, it works. It's nothing crazy, but it works. Performance-wise though, what are we dealing with here? Let's remember what's going on with the i5 XRT. It is a dual motor all-wheel drive setup. That's the only way you can get it. You can turn traction control off very easily, which is nice. This one has terrain driving modes. It also sits 0.9 inches higher than the standard car. You got 18-inch wheels with the all-terrain tires. They're just Continentals. They're not in a very aggressive all-terrain, which is fine because most of these will spend 90% of their life on-road. So dual motor setup. You got the decent sized battery in this. Here's how big it is. I do that when I forget the actual number. 320 horsepower, 446 pound-feet of torque. Zero to 60, probably 5 flat to high 4s. Nothing exciting, but nothing crazy either. It's more than adequate. They say the range for this is 259 miles. I know when I unplugged it after a full charge, it read that I had 300 miles of range, but as soon as you drive it the way you want to drive it, the range is going to come down. That's just how this is. The same thing happens with the Mach-E Rally, which is what I would line this up against in terms of a competitor. I do think the Mach-E is slightly better looking. This has some okay paint options. That has some really cool paint options. I think the wheels they offer now on the Mach-E Rally look fantastic. You have much more power on the Mach-E Rally, but it's just slightly more expensive. Not much more expensive, just slightly more expensive, but the range hits for driving them the way you want to drive them happen on both of them. They're right around 259, 260, I believe, EPA range ratings. You drive it like you stole it, the numbers are going to come down. So this price-wise, I mentioned price, this is before destination, I think it's 55, then you're at 57. I think even with options, you're gonna stay under 60, which is great. Whereas once you spec out a Mach-E, you're at like 62, Mach-E Rally. So the price jump to get to the Ford for much more power, much quicker 0 to 60 really isn't that much. And then the upgrades from there are that has a magnetic ride suspension system that does have better brakes. This one, in terms of the driving, this needs a lot more bite in the brakes, but overall, the experience is surprisingly entertaining. I didn't get to explore it to its full limits here as I did when I drove it on the first drive on a prepared course. I was slinging this thing around like a fat hatch rally machine, and it was great. I think the steering tuning is a little bit better on the Mach-E, so you're paying a little bit more for kind of a substantially better vehicle. But this charge, as an EV though, this one will charge faster. That one can use a NACS charger, but you do need an adapter, whereas this is now native, as I said, but then you need the adapter to go the other way. So those are trade-offs as well. I think it's fun that we have two like off-roady, I'm gonna say light off-roady, more rally-based electric vehicle options in the segment, and they're priced nearly around the same area. That's kind of a cool, extremely niche segment. But the other way to look at these, where it might make more sense, is if you have an EV that you want to have fun with on the weekends, but say your commute takes you in and out of a city that maybe has lots of potholes and tough parking for traffic and people potentially bumping into you. These would be awesome for those situations. If you commuted in and out of Boston in this all year round, full weather vehicle, you can hit the worst potholes and not give two shits, and you have a vehicle that will be fun when you want it to be fun and comfortable when you're commuting to and from work. So the urban assault vehicle, electric vehicle, which is currently a category of very few things, this is a fun option there. I could see why you would pick this over the Mach-E, and I could definitely see why you would pick the Mach-E over this. Either way, great week with this car, a reminder of why I liked it so much in my brief stint with it earlier. Get it in a fun color though. They make a really nice, I think they call it a teal color. There's also a red color. If you want to actually get it dirty, they make a matte white, which would look great covered in dirt. So get out there, have fun with your vehicle, because this is a vehicle that wants you to have fun. Intro, music, blah. That one's gonna die. Whatever, I don't need that much of that one.